Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your long form podcast, your podcast for the month of August. We are going to look a little more carefully at the numerology and the tarot of the month ahead. We'll be working with the Strength card and the Star card this month. Just incredibly beautiful energy. So I'm excited to walk through that and feel what comes through for all of us in terms of understanding the atmosphere, the energy, the weather that we're about to enter in August. Dramatic shift in tone, in quality and energy for the month ahead. So let's see, how that lands in your world, what that means for you. The month of July, the Chariot and the Tower was really a conversation around control, around where you're gripping too tightly, around what parts of your life have become too rigid, too constricting, what identities, armors, costumes, masks you're wearing that no longer feel helpful, no longer feel in alignment, no longer feel like they're offering you anything. Really, this awareness of, wow, I've walked this way for so long, I've moved this way for so long, I'm grateful for what it's taught me, how it served me, and now it's done. And it has this like dry quality to it, this quality of like a dry onion skin peeling away, or the way that the snake skin gets really dry. This is not quite overdue, but no loss. Like no loss. Whatever fell away, whatever shedded in the past month was right to go, right to be done with. This really is something that was happening relationally, but also something that was happening really individually. So it might be that you felt this in the material world with people, dynamics, situations, environments, but it also might have been a really private conversation with yourself about, this doesn't feel good to me anymore. I don't want to move this way. I don't want to spend my time this way. And ideally, a remembering, like a bringing back into your field, oh, this is who I am. This is what matters. This is what I value. This is what I'm after. And the power of that came not just in your desire to reclaim that part of you or that way of being or that way of moving, but then also how the universe conspired to support you in that. The words you used, the mantras you worked with this month were so powerful. I hope that you saw the results of that. I hope you really appreciated the way that your words craft and shape your environment, the way that your energy is being mirrored to you in all ways at all times. So July in general was a dance with control, a dance with rigidity, a dance with structure, and the ways that those structures, that you've just outgrown them. Like full stop, you've outgrown them. Your energy has more to do here, has more work to do, has more light to reveal, has more life to experience. And July generally was a conversation, a dance with that. And again, how comfortable or uncomfortable that was, how shocking or how right on time that was, will really depend on where you are and how tightly you're gripping things, and whether you have been scuffing away the old layers as they reveal themselves, or whether there's some part of you that feels like it needs to hold on to what was. The energy coming in August is so different. So the Star and the Strength card. So we have the Strength card, the 8th month of the year. So we have 8 Strength card, and that vibrates with the Hermit year that we're in to bring us to 17, to bring us to the Star card. These are such peaceful energies. Like in a reading, when you get the Strength card and or the Star card, there's this soothing energy that comes and just washes over your field. Particularly the Star card, there's no more healing card in the deck. There's no more generous, more sense of you being the beloved, like you being the beloved of the universe. This beautiful, angelic, love-filled cocoon, like wind that comes in and wraps itself around you, that gives you space to heal, that gives you permission to be, that gives you an invitation to rest, like such a deep invitation to rest. And the Strength card is different. It's calling on a different energy, but it's also an incredibly joyful card, an incredibly love-filled card. And it's just this idea we wouldn't get very far in the realm of self-actualization or self-discovery or healing work if there wasn't joy involved, like if there wasn't joy on the other side of it. So we've all had that experience, I imagine, where you go through something difficult and you face something difficult, or you sit with difficult emotions, or you reframe, rework something that's challenged you. The breath available, the joy available on the other side of that is so seductive and delicious. It's just this sense of there has been more joy, more wonder, more faith, more union, more love available to me than I realized, than I had a sense of. And you know this from your earliest experiences of being pure energy, pure source. So like when you just got here, or right before you got here, there's some part of you that remembers. You guys know about my Jesus dream, right? In that dream, in my experience of hugging Jesus in Morocco, in my dream, the abundance of love, the way that we feel home, the way that we feel in union with all that is, in union with love, the truth of that exists beyond this earthly plane, the magnitude of it is indescribable. At the time, I had young children, and I'm fierce about my children, but I was particularly fierce about them when they were young. And I had never experienced like soul cracking love the way I experienced it with my children. And the feeling I had when I connected to source energy in that dream was it's all just like a shadow. Like the most love, the most openness, the most connection, the most union you've ever felt in this lifetime. And I don't care how wild it's gotten, I don't care how practiced you are. The widest experience of that is the palest comparison to what that feeling of home feels like, that feeling of love and union and connection really feels like beyond this earthly plane from a spiritual dimension. So the star card and the strength card are both connecting to that, and they're connecting to the joy that you access when you touch that. So again, it doesn't have to be like a whole experience. It's this idea that part of the reason we're willing to go to the dark places, the heavy places, is because it liberates energy. So, oh, there's a big black butterfly out there, because it liberates energy. So when you sit with your rage, your fear, your anger, your sadness, and you don't turn away from it, you are okay with it. Maybe not okay with it, maybe not comfortable, but you don't turn away from it. You accept it as truth, as a valid response to whatever it's responding to. When the peace is made, it's like a dam breaks, right? Like the peace is made, like, like I survived that sadness. I survived that rage. I survived that fear. There's a lot of energy in that, and there's a lot that happens there. But one of the beautiful effects of that is that it ramps up, it expands your connection to joy and wonder and hope and love and faith and all the beautiful wonder. Did I say that already? The like high vibrational energies. This is all happening on a spectrum. The more willing we are to go dark, the more available we are to the light. And none of it's static, but there's this sense of one of the reasons we keep going in the work is because we know what's available on the other side. And that continuing expansion is partially what our soul longs for, what our heart and body longs for. And if we didn't realize, if there wasn't that joy to realize, that wonder, that love and union to realize, we might not be willing to sit with the dark, right? We might hesitate to go into the hard places, the dark places, the constricted places. That's the most basic energy offered to us in the strength card. The strength card is saying that you are a spiritual being in a human experience. You are as much of the light as you are of the body. And the strength card is coming to this beautiful conversation. There's more to do, right? The strength card's only number 8 in the major arcana. So we have a road ahead of us. We have an experience ahead of us. But the awakening that happens in the strength card is, I am my desires, I am a body, I have needs, I am wild, I am like feral, and I am such pure light at the same time. And it's this conversation that opens up between the animalistic part of my nature and the angelic part of my nature. Many traditions speak of our in between. We're the weaving of the animals and the angels, right? We're this in between. Oh my God, my window is so active now. There's just like a super beautiful bird. So we're the weaving of these two things, right? We kind of sit in this incredibly unique position to be both of the body of our desires, of our fierceness, and of our light, our angelic nature, our connection to source and love and God, our ability to make change in the world, not just from a material standpoint, but from a spiritual, energetic standpoint. So the strength card is speaking to that. It's very beautiful. What we say about it is to harness your desires with a chain of roses. So there's this beautiful gentleness to the way we hold our own wildness, our own fierceness, our own animal nature, and this great reverence that the animal nature has for our spiritual light, our perfection, our like virginity in the cleanest version of the world, the parts of us that are untouched. So there's this incredible conversation happening in the strength card where we meet ourselves and we meet the fullness of ourselves. And in that place, we don't find judgment or shame or fault. We find love and acceptance and miraculousness, like this sense of, wow, wow, I'm here in a body. I am both and. We contain multitudes. That quote has been coming up over and over again. But that's the strength card. And it's a very, again, this thing that's happening just with me. This is the moment in a healing journey where you do turn to your shadow and you make peace with whatever has been held in reserve, held in the background, held as something shameful or something to feel guilty or ugly about. It's bringing all of that wildness, all of that, your humanity, the way that like none of us get out without making a mess and making mistakes and fucking it up and reaching for more than we should or not reaching when we should. Or I'm like the thousand stories of how we've done it wrong, of how we are broken, of how we are shame-filled. And to turn to yourself in that, to shut down the noise and turn to yourself and be like, yeah, dude, I am broken. I am wild. I am feral. I am an animal of confusion and desire. I am imperfect in 1,000 ways. And yet I'm worthy. And yet I am perfect. And yet I am clean and pure and of love. And so it's like the melding of those two energies. The 8 is, so it's controversial, but the strength card and the justice card switch spaces depending on which tarot decks. And it's slightly controversial that Rider-Waite decided to put strength in 8 and justice in, hold for it, 11. And so there's this really interesting fluidity to when do you find this? Like, when do you discover this? Is it something you discover before, after your hermit, before, after the Wheel of Fortune? Like, when does this kind of fall into place for you? 8 is the energy of materiality. The figure 8, the infinity symbol over her head. The other place we see that is in the Magician. So it's this really interesting, like the Magician is very clean, like I am of the world, but I am really here to channel spirit. And the strength card is just this much softer expression of this, like I am spirit and I get to work with the material. I get to move through the material world. I get to love the messy parts of me, the wild parts of me. So the 8 is about materiality, about manifestation, about strength, but about strength as in I don't turn away from any of it. Like I am here for it. I am here for the animal. I am here for the angel. And there's a beautiful exhale that happens, a beautiful moment of acceptance, beautiful moment of harmony. Like there's just something so gentle and right and satisfying about the strength energy. Some of the things that people will say are that she's not really ready to let herself be wild and free. Like there's still some control that needs to be in place. And like, okay, that's just part of the show. How do we need to do this in a way that feels good to us, that feels like liberation to us? I've always loved this card. I think this was when I was young. I think this was actually my favorite card. And when my mom would speak about it, she would speak about this idea of what is the chain of roses? What does that mean? And there's a lot to be said about that. But there's something so gentle about that, something about the bindings you would choose. So when we talk about devotion or we talk about I get to versus I have to, there's this sense of this is like the complete opposite energy of the devil, right? So when the devil shows up, we have the question of where am I bound? What am I bound to? What am I in service to? What am I in devotion to in a way that's become unconscious or not in my highest good or not part of my growth or not something I'm choosing? And the strength card is like when you fall in love and you become bound to someone and you're like happily in that chain of roses, or with your children when when they're young and they're so little and helpless and near exhausted, and yet you would choose every day to be bound in that way. So there's this sense of our commitments and our devotion and our bindings being something that we choose joyfully, that feel good to us, that make beauty for us, that yoke us to places and things. And in this case, really what's happened, there's like a yoking of the spirit and the body in this card. But beyond that, beyond your own individual journey, isn't there's a famous poem, I can't remember exactly what it is, but like these beautiful chains, or maybe it's just an idea, like these beautiful chains of love, these beautiful chains of devotion, these beautiful cuffs I wear that may limit me, that may cause containership or structure or limitation in my life, and yet I choose them over and over again. So there's something really, I think that's what, when I was young, I just loved this idea of this maiden with her lion companion. So you can think about this as our fierceness and our gentleness, our fierceness and our softness, and how they go hand in hand. You can hold this side by side with the chariot energy, the energy we just went through in the last month. The chariot is really a masculine type of strength and power, and the strength card is really a feminine type of power. It's a receptive power. It's the luring of, this is a beautiful place. This is a place of love and beauty and art, and it smells good here and it feels good here. And that is its own power. Like, come closer, come closer. I want you to experience this. I want to chain you in roses. I want you to be bound to this beautiful thing that I've created, this beautiful energy that I'm cultivating. It's very sexy and it's very seductive and it's very magnetic. So we always have a sense, even if we're not speaking about the chariot card directly, we have this sense of the masculine drawing in of energy as a force forward, as a momentum, as something that propels movement. And with the strength card, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to come home, to come to a place that feels good, to come to a place that feels soft, to come to a place that feels like you would die on that bed of roses. It reminds me of that Aerosmith song, the calling in of, come be here with me. Let's get lost in this moment. Let's get lost in the beauty of this connection, of the yoking of me with another, or the yoking of my body and my spirit, or the yoking of my devotion to my family, my children, my work. There's something here that is delicious in its constriction, delicious in its binding. So that is the 8 energy. So in a strength month, which August is always a strength month, there's the sense of the sun, the solar energy, but the solar energy as it's held in a more feminine atmosphere. So solar energy is always masculine, right? We're always feeling the heat, the yang, the directness of the sun, the clarity of the sun. But the strength card is holding that, but it's holding it in this soft, milky, watery, siren-like way. It's calling in, okay, I'm going to warm you here. I'm going to take the solar energy and I'm going to transmute it, alchemize it through the feminine gifting process, through the sense of receiving. So there's this nourishment, this revitalization that happens, but it happens because you're willing to receive. So there's just an interesting, not contrast, but yeah, like alchemy between the solar energy and the feminine offer of reception, offer of receptivity. So in August, there's always this sense of manifestation. That's why people get so excited partially about the Lionsgate portal, because it feels like this moment where things come into fruition, things come into manifestation. There's this materiality again to the 8 energy, and August is going to hold that thought of, I had this idea or I had this desire, and here it is coming into the world, coming into reality. So that's always happening in August. There's a new level of appreciating the spiritual and the material, how they are yoked together in the body, and how lovely that is, like how good that feels, how special, like actually miraculous, actually wonder-filled, actually awe-filled that is to be a spiritual being in a body in the material world. And so enjoy that. Like that feels good, and rightly so. Like the strength card is reminding you that you work so hard because it feels good. Think about August as the energy of kind of vacation, especially around here, the summer vacation. You work hard all year to get to this moment of the sun on my skin, myself in the water, with good friends, with family, with my community. There's this beautiful exhale. Okay, all the work was worth it. All the efforting was worth it. Here I am reaping the fruits of my labor. My daughter keeps quoting Andrew Tate, which makes me want to like throw myself off a building, but she does it partially because it's a joke and partially because she likes to agitate that way. She likes to say shocking things, but she keeps saying the fruits of my labor. Enjoy the fruits of my labor or be gone. That's like an Andrew Tate quote, which makes me want to throw up that I'm even saying his name. But that idea of the fruits of your labor is very much in the August energy and in the strength energy. And then because it's this year, we come to the star card. Again, these are two of the most beautiful cards in the deck. Look how they're both in this bending down motion, in this sense of devotion, in this to prostrate yourself, to get on your knees in awe of something, in service to something. They're both making that motion. Like they're both in process of bowing to something, of bowing their heads to something. So the star card is a deep renewal, a rejuvenation, rest. I mean, it's such a chill card. It's like the best summer vacation you ever had is the star energy. I am refilled by life. Life is taking care of me. There is a sense of abundance and also a sense of luxuriousness in this. It doesn't mean necessarily materially luxurious, but there's plenty. There's plenty here. And my whole body is involved and my whole soul is involved. And on many levels, I am feeling rested and rejuvenated and cared for and loved. But there is something about the bowing down. And I would maybe connect it to what I was just saying about the chain of roses. Like what's coming through, what's really interesting is I'm feeling into the energy of July, and the partially what might have shaken loose is old identities. Partially what may have shaken loose is what you're devoted to is definitely on the table, but also what does it mean to be of devotion, and the way that maybe your pride or your ego has kept you away from connection, away from fully engaging with your world, whether that's family, relationships, again, community, again, the larger world. When we feel into that shell, that armor that came up in the beginning of July, that came through so clearly, like this, there's this old rigid armor that just doesn't suit you anymore. While there is a protective quality to that, there's also a distancing quality to that. And there's something here. Honestly, what I really feel is like, what are you willing to get on your knees for? And maybe that wasn't available to you before. Maybe that armor, that shell, that ego, that pride, that rigidity kept you upright as a way to preserve yourself. But there's something here about the strength in the star that's stronger than that. And that's its own kind of like mind warp or mind fuck of like, oh, I thought strong was uprightness. I thought strong was rigidity. I thought strong was masculine energy. I thought strong was direction, purpose, resilience. As things crumble around me, I'm still standing. So there's this interesting contrast from July to August of strength as something that stands upright and strength as something that bows to life or bows to the beloved or bows to what you chain yourself to with joy. It's really interesting. Like, what are you devoted to with joy, even as that asks something of you, even that prostrate, even as that asks you to prostrate yourself? It's really interesting. I mean, I know that word, but it's not a word I would normally use. And this is not energy I felt from either of these cards before, but seeing them side by side, there's this like really interesting idea of what is strength, of what is power. And the reversal inherent in this, From a very like high level global standpoint, this feels like the rise of the divine feminine. We speak about that energy of the change we're going through, this change the earth is going through, the change that collectively we're going through that moves us away from masculine structure and all of the toxicity of the patriarchy that has been running the show for so long. It's really beautiful. It's really catching my heart. This movement towards something that seeds and sources its strength in something very different. It's giving Mother Mary energy or Jesus energy, even like to be, this makes me so emotional, like to be willing to like wash someone's feet, right? Such a weirdo, but like it's beautiful in my mind. It comes out weird in language. But that idea of being so willing to serve, like being so willing to love with such bigness that you could kneel at someone's feet and tend to them in this very like basic way. It is the way that a mother tends to a child, or you tend to a lover, or you tend to the sick, or you tend to someone who has lost their power or their strength. Oh, it's really beautiful. Sorry, I don't usually get like this emotional about it, but the energy coming through is like your idea of what was strong got completely turned around in July, and you find yourself in August with this actually incredibly strong desire to serve, but to serve from a different place in a different way, and to source and to understand and to connect with your strength in a completely different way. It's so beautiful. I hope that you have a glimpse of this. I hope maybe if you have these cards and you're not already looking at them, you can take them out and look at them and meditate on them. But there's something very important about how they're both bowing their heads, and it's just incredibly beautiful. Sorry, like really has my heart. But the sense of, I thought I knew what strength was. I thought I knew what it meant to be strong in the world, and something fundamentally fell away in July. And as I enter this new space, enter this new energy, this new weather, I'm confronted. I'm confronted with what is strong. I'm confronted with the ways that my rigidity and separateness and uprightness is actually just a facade, is actually not even a little bit strong. It's terrible because I'm not dismissing the importance of the chariot. I'm not dismissing the importance of masculine energy. I'm not dismissing the importance of standing up for yourself. But there is something that gets cracked open in terms of what does it mean to not just be upright and individualistic in your strength, but to serve from a place of strength. There's like this humility, there's this complete lack of pridefulness or ego. And again, what I was saying about we only do this work because we get to some finish line or there's some joy on the other side of it. There's something here about how I remember maybe 3 or 4 years ago, probably post-COVID, I remember coming back from quarantine and being like, wow, the way I personally have served, and then the people that I teach in my community, the way that they've served has bled us dry. Like we have been serving in this kind of capitalistic momentum of like, I give and give and give and give, and I am depleted, I am burnt out. And I know so many healers, teachers, guides, shamans, masculine and feminine, who are just tapped out. And the messaging that came through is that we need to learn how to serve from a new place. And it was, how do you serve from a place of overflow versus serving from a place of depletion? And that's the language that I've been working with people for a long time. You've definitely heard me say that before if we work together. But there's something about this that feels like the next level of that. Okay, so I've renounced that I will serve from depletion. I know that I don't need to bleed myself dry. I don't need to lay myself on the tracks to make your life better. Like I am allowed to also be filled with love, to also be filled with beauty and art and joy. And I can serve you from that place. And that's this idea of service, like from resonance. So we're going to sit in space together and I'm going to hold the energetic signature that I'm allowed. And if I'm allowed, you're allowed. And there's this expansive quality, this expansive song that begins to ring out between us that is serving, but it's serving from a place of overflow. It's serving from a place of abundance. And it's a reminder to your soul, the way that flower essences work, right? Flower essences work because the purity of the vibrational energy of that flower stays steady. And then your body, or not mind, probably not your mind, maybe your mind, your body, your energetic field hears that higher vibration, that higher resonance, and it's willing to meet, it wants to reach for it. So it wants to vibrate higher. And similarly, this is what this idea of serving from overflow is. You serve from this place that the other person, the places that they've been stuck, there something begins to loosen up, and there's this call in their heart that they too can have more, they too can be more, express more, enjoy more, feel more safe and satisfied in their lives. This feels like the next level of that. This feels like I am so full and I am so happy to be here. And I've crafted this life that really works for me. And so this idea of being on my knees, being prostrate, being in devotion, bending in a way that from the outside might look like powerlessness is actually this deep place of power. It really does have this energy of Mother Mary, of Jesus, of like, I don't need to prove anything. I'm only here to serve from love. I'm only here to serve from my heart. So it's incredibly beautiful. I did not see this coming when I was looking at these cards. So I'm just going to offer that up. The star card is a reminder that you deserve rest, that you deserve care, that the universe does want to pour back into you. In this month ahead with the star energy, just allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to receive. Practice receiving from maybe a wider array of who you receive from. The star card is going to give you so many reasons to receive, and it might even test the limits of what you're able to receive. And so in this month ahead, really just have that sense of, if I imagine the world wants to take care of me, if I imagine the sun, the moon, masculine energy, feminine energy, if I imagine that the world is trying to gift me, if the world is trying to remind me how loved I am, to get me to this place where my heart just cracks open. Like my heart just cracks open because I realize how wanted and loved and gifted I am by being in the world. If that could be part of the possibility in the month ahead, when you see yourself saying no, when you want to say yes, or doubting your worth when someone offers you something, or being narrow about who's allowed to give you something, I really encourage people to test that idea of who's allowed to gift you. I won't get into that. We've all had experiences where we're in a relationship or in a friendship or in a dynamic where we get subtle cues that we're not allowed to receive gifting energy, love, support from a wider circle. And I really encourage you to unwind some of that tightness, to imagine that you live your life in integrity, ideally, you have clean boundaries, ideally, and the world is allowed to gift you. There's this breaking down of the rigidity of the separation, of this idea that we have to hold ourselves apart, that is just coming through so clearly with these two cards. And honestly, the awe on the other side of that, this witnessing of how loved you are, how connected you are, how deserving you are of whatever you need, whatever support you need, whatever love you need. The supporting cards could not support what I'm saying more. There's just so much beauty here. We have the victory card. Check that out. We have safe to fall. Also check that out. We have cat's claw, which is about purification. And we have child orphan. The light attributes are, oh my God, I'm going to read this too. This is a good one. Independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. Shadow attributes, feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. Dude, this idea that you have to go it alone, that's no. This idea that you are limited in what you're allowed to receive. This idea that there's no one there to catch you. This idea that victory is something that happens through brute force or through rigidity or through independence or standing alone. And this idea that there's some purification happening in your heart space, happening in your energy. These cards all together just really give me this sense of your heart getting cracked open this month in the best way. Let yourself fall. Let yourself expand. Let yourself be in devotion. There's something here about pride and the ways that it's actually keeping you separate. And I just think it's worth thinking about, worth noticing. When you know you're loved, when you know it's safe, there's no shame in getting on your knees. For me, the easiest one is my children, right? Like, I know I'm here to serve them. So do I do insane things? Do I get on my knees daily to serve them? 100%. Do I have any shame or judgment or like bad vibes about that? No, not at all. With my children, there's this unconditional dance we have, or this, at least for me, this unconditional love of no matter what happens, I'm here and I'm still comfortable on my knees. I don't want to be on knees all the time, but like I'm comfortable there. I'm in service to this. Like I'm in service to you guys and our community on the good days and on the bad days, on the days that it comes back to me, on the days it doesn't come back to me. I'm so happily on my knees here. And so for you, what's that example? Where are the places where you're happily in devotion, like you're happy with your heart cracked open, you trust where you are, and the places where that doesn't feel quite safe? And what might you crave there? What might you desire? And there's something here about taking a risk and allowing yourself to fall and knowing that there's this net of love and acceptance and love that's underneath you. And this great question that I learned many years ago of what would you do if you knew you couldn't lose love? It changes everything. That question is on the table this month. What would you do if you knew you couldn't lose love? No matter what they do, no matter what happens, no matter what shifts around you, you are loved. You cannot be removed from that. You cannot be separated from that. And there's something here about a deeper understanding and the movement that inspires, the I can't say the word, my own like mental block around it, the prostration that inspires. That's really interesting. We'll see. Take these cards out and spend some time looking at them and see what comes up for you. I have a beautiful new tarot deck and I have a beautiful new animal deck. And I'm going to pull a card for every sign from those two decks. And let's see what we come up with. The first thing I'll say is that you might feel like a little bit torn this month. There might be this sense of a decision to be made, the Two of Swords, and focus on the big picture with the two cards at the bottom of the deck. So the Two of Swords is always the horns of a dilemma. You might feel like there's pressure for you to decide. And I'll remind you that when you don't know the answer, break it down into smaller choices, smaller decisions. If you break it down enough, you'll know what to do next. There will be a next right step, and take that. And don't feel like you need to rush a decision that's 10 steps down the road. That's when we tend to get in these mental loops, because the decision that we're like perseverating on isn't actually a decision that's in front of us. Wind it back to what's the decision in front of you and move from that place. And again, there's something about don't let your pride get in the way this month. Do not let yourself get haughty and prideful and ego-filled this month. It's like the opposite lesson. And maybe you will, and then you will be like, oops, or you'll be like, ouch, or whatever happens. But there is this invitation to soften the armor around you and around your heart and just to let it go. And what would the soft part of you do? What would that child who knows it can't be separated from love, it can't be separate, it can't be unsafe, like obviously keep yourself safe, but the part of you that desires to move in a way that is always safe and always free and always of love, what does that soft part want for you? And then how could you maybe make that more available? It doesn't mean you jump off the cliff if it doesn't feel safe, but is there some motion towards that might feel safe and good and right? And again, break it down to smaller steps. So that's for all of us. Let's start with Leo, our Leo kings and queens, Six of Swords and Destiny Path. All is one. Six of Swords is the card of transport. You are making some kind of passage. So Leo, this is your time. And so this is your time of year. And so you might feel pressure to have arrived or have the knowing you need. But the Six of Swords is you are in safe, we talk about this, you're in transit, you're in safe passage. This is a time to just chill out. All is one, meaning the destiny path, like you are on track, whether you don't doubt that, like don't doubt yourself, don't doubt that you've made the wrong turn, or again, you're making the wrong decision. Trust that you are protected. The Six of Swords is a deeply protective energy. It's also the energy of like the tide changing. So the water might be rough and then it smooths out, or it might be smooth and then it gets rough, but you're in transit, you're in process. And so that's good. You're in process to the point you're meant to be in process to. Like, you are going to land in a new place, you'll put your feet there, and it will be different, and you'll decide then how to behave. This idea that you could have chosen wrong, or that this transit, this time of passage is somehow taking you to the wrong place, you can let that go. Like, you are 100% headed in the right direction. And your work right now is to, like, not rock the boat. Like, don't get so excited to get to shore that you tip the canoe. You want to just kind of chill out and know that you're protected. Leo, who comes next? Virgo. Page of Wands and sacred boundaries. Okay, Virgo, the Page of Wands, aren't these beautiful images, both these decks? The Page of Wands is, again, the first one to get the ace. We just had that energy come up a week or two ago. So maybe you're going to be referencing mid-July and August. Maybe there's going to be some connection between those two things. This excitement, like, you're excited about something, you're fascinated, you're seduced, you're entranced by something that is new and warm and sexy and feels exciting, and there's possibility there. Stay with it. And the sacred boundaries is protect it. So, like, stay with it. The energy here is don't talk about it, which is like kind of weird energy. Don't tell anyone. But it is a little bit of this energy of this is for you. The same way that we want to serve from a place of overfill, we want to create from this place of the audience comes last. Thank you, Rick Rubin, for being a genius. But the audience comes last, and the sense of I'm just here to feel this spark and understand what it is and let it evolve and cultivate it and care for it and enjoy it. And this is not something for me to necessarily share with a larger group. There's something about sacred boundaries, about knowing who and who does not need to know about what you're cultivating, and there's something about protecting that. Okay, Libra, we have the world and action leads to success. Okay, so Libra, this is a major ending. Feels like a successful one, feels like one where the fruits of my labor again. Feels like the fruits of my labor. It feels like you're coming to this place of, okay, that is complete, that is done, and that there's going to be success there. There's going to be this, it feels like a real thing. It feels like something real showing up and actually materially gifting you at the end of this cycle to show that, to kind of seal it. Almost, I think of like sealing the gate. Like, you end this cycle, you move through the space. The way that's in Saturn energy, we always say with Saturn's energy, even though it's the taskmaster, it always leaves a gift on its way out. And maybe astrologically there's something happening here. But it feels like you pass through this gate, you're gifted, but in exchange for the gift, you kind of seal the gates. There's no going back, and that's okay. So however that lands for you, this feels like a real successful completion of a pretty major cycle. There's not anything really bad to say about that. Maybe just the recognition that that's what's happening, and you don't need to begin right away. Like, you can just let this cycle close out, let the gate get sealed, enjoy the success, enjoy the fruits of your labor, and then go from there. Okay, so Libra, Scorpio. Queen of Cups, inner conflict resolution. Queen of Cups, we know her. It's very Scorpio energy. Very Scorpio energy. I got to go deep, and then I got to go deeper, and then I got to think about it some more, and then I got to feel it some more. Hey, I see you, Queen of Cups. And inner conflict resolution. The beautiful part about this card is this is the two of the animals in the shamanic medicine wheel, snake energy, Sachamama, and condor energy, Apushin, and that is both the material, the physical, and the spiritual. So it's the kind of, it's not really low and high in shamanism, but it's the material experience, the most dense experience, and the most undense, diffuse experience, the most connected experience coming into resolution. It's very much strength energy. This really does like echo what's happening in the strength card. The snake and the lion both being signs of like our materiality, our physicality, and the maiden and Apushin being this sense of our purity, our perfection. So there's something echoing there. And yeah, this feels really good. This feels like art. This feels like making art of your deep feeling and the resolution and there's something here about whatever's happening in your material. It's really blessed and infused with something more angelic, more spiritual, more it's like the way that something is infused with an energetic resonance. My friend Lisa, I don't know if you guys follow her, most of you know her from Circle and stuff, but Lisa Granozio, she does the most beautiful art, and she was showing pictures of her booth at a trade show last week. And she does this like photography of these of flowers, and she did these like acrylic kind of blocks that have her artwork behind them. She's literally captured light in a solid state. That's this energy. Like you capture something ephemeral and energetic and light based into solid form. And it has to do with the work you've been doing on your emotional body, the work you've been doing in terms of your depths, your creativity, your emotional healing. Again, like the things you're doing kind of quietly in your own being. Sagittarius. Okay, Sag, claim your power and Nine of Pentacles. I mean, the Nine of Pentacles is the card of claiming your power. So Nine of Pentacles is the card of like someone comfortable in their own being. So they have all that they need materially, very satisfied. The Rider-Waite image is the woman in the garden with the birds and the animals around her, and she's walled in. That's her only downside, is she can be a little isolated. But the Nine of Pentacles generally is a card of material success, satisfaction, ease, comfort, and claim your power, roar. Like there's like the really strong tiger energy, which doesn't feel separate from our Sag, from that Sag beautiful, that Sag fiery fierceness. And so this feels like, don't waste a moment of August like worrying. Like just enjoy where you are, what you've arrived in. Yeah, like feel yourself in August. Like just really enjoy, like look around. It's like me in my garage, or me in my garden, or me. I just finished my dressing room, like me in my house, kind of looking around, being like, I like it here. I'm satisfied here. This feels good here. Don't that won't last forever. Maybe things are changing that you're not aware of. Maybe things are kind of shifting in the time ahead. The Ten of Pentacles is when we begin thinking about our legacy, so how our satisfaction reaches out into the larger community. So something about August that just feels like this moment of again, fruits of your labor. Oh, Lila, you drive me crazy. But fruits of your labor in terms of just like sitting and enjoying whatever you've created in the world. And like, like you did this. Like, don't forget that you built this, you figured this out, you made the world, you made your beautiful life. Okay, who's after Sagittarius? Capricorn. Abundance and King of Pentacles. Okay, Cap. Everyone's enjoying the fruits of their labors this month. I like it. Capricorn, you are the King of Pentacles, so it's this energy of like mastering the material plane, mastering the world, like you have everything you need and then some, and abundance. So you have plenty, Capricorn, this month, and if you don't feel like that, it's something to think about. Like what, again, I say this all the time to my kids, but like what else signifies wealth besides money? So if you don't feel like you have enough coins in your pocket, which I hope you do, then how else are you abundant? Like, how are you strong? How are you stable? How are you steady? How are you like safe in your body, safe in your world? And what have you mastered on that dimension? The King of Pentacles in abundance with this whale, it's like solid energy. You feel really strong and solid. Maybe the question is, like where you share that and allowing yourself to share that. Maybe you feel lonely in that. Maybe it feels like I've done this for myself, but where are my people? Like, how do I begin to share this overflow that I have in terms of material success and abundance? So there you go, Kat. Maybe that's your question this month, is like, I have so much. How can I, A, really be aware of all the forms of wealth in my life? And B, how can I share that? Like, where's my community? Where are my people? Okay, Aquarius. 8 of Wands, and you are about to shine. Okay, this feels like movement. This feels like the most movement of anyone so far. You and Leo, kind of. So Aquarius, and maybe it's just the fixed signs are going to be going through some kind of movement. But you are about to shine in the 8 of Wands. So 8 of Wands is communication, it's movement, it's fire. It's like taking an idea, inspiration, something like sexy that turns you on and making it real in the world. So it's the arrival. The Eight of Wands, as I always say, is the card of orgasm. So it's the card of like losing control energetically, and the landing again, like coming back, and what that experience is like. What does it mean when something is launched and it's out of your hands, but it hasn't landed yet, and you are about to shine? So these two things together, it feels like you're in the float, like you're in the moment where the thing has taken off and it hasn't landed yet, and it's kind of in process, it's in movement, it's in flight. And so, okay, so what do? You can't change it. You can't force it to move faster. So what do you do when you're watching the thing move? There's maybe an invitation to awe or wonder here, or an invitation to faith, to prayer, to like a sense of, let this land in a way that serves me and the wider world, whatever your intention or your prayer is. But there is something of like hands off the wheel. This is in process and it's going to be good. You're going to shine. It's going to feel good. Eight of Wands feels good. It feels like success. It feels like, it feels like a deep exhale. And so that's coming. And maybe you just need to be a little patient with, and a little, have a little more fun with the float, with the flight time. Aquarius, Pisces, you have magnetism through gratitude and the Queen of Swords. Okay, Pisces, the magnetism through gratitude, easy, like this sense of being rich in yourself, being rich in your own life and your own energy, and the way that is magnetic in and of itself. The Queen of Swords is very different from your natural state. It's the energy of black and white thinking, of discretion, of discernment, of division, and in a good way, like, or a bad way too, but mostly a good way. She's the bitch of the tarot. Like, you can't fuck with her. So there is a sense of like a little bit of an oil water feeling here of interesting. So kind of an energy of testing your fierceness and noticing that it's not as scary as you think. It's not as disastrous as you think. So Pisces in general, your instinct is like kind of go along to get along. And this month is going to ask you to be a little more discriminating, a little more discerning. And that's going to be maybe scary for you. You're going to be like, I don't know. I don't want to make enemies. I don't want to upset anyone. But there's going to be a moment where you kind of are forced into that pickle, forced into that corner, and you survive it. And that's going to teach you something about how you're allowed to take up more space. You're allowed to be both loving and giving and connected and discerning. So this feels like something, some boundary or some limit gets tested. And instead of your natural default to kind of give in, you question that and you push back and you survive it. And then you feel really strong and happy that you survived it. Oh, I'm allowed to set a boundary, and the world, everyone's okay. Like the world keeps standing, people keep functioning. Pisces, Aries, self-worth, self-love, self-value, self-respect, and the High Priestess. Ooh, Aries also feels like not quite your natural state. But yeah, this feels very quiet. This is why it doesn't feel like Aries energy. It feels like something, again, alchemical happening on a deep level. Interesting, because you and Scorpio both have that kind of energy of something happening in the quiet and in the dark. And Mars might be involved. Maybe what Mars is doing, I think Mars is in retrograde this month, maybe. So something about coming back to your intuition and really focusing on yourself, really keep coming back to what, and actually not just focusing on yourself, but coming back to what you need and being willing and knowing, like really grounding into the truth of that. And then actually being willing to share it, being willing to ask for it, being willing to receive it, like allow yourself to be validated by the outside world. So it feels like maybe you know this in the quiet dark, and August is going to be about you saying, can it be true? Like, can I ask for it? Can I have it? Will the world gift it to me the way that I've been gifting it to myself? Ooh, that feels really good, Aries, and it feels very brave. And it feels like you're going to receive that, and it's going to feel really validating and really good, and like really warms my heart. Cool. Taurus, we have the Knight of Swords and evolve into your complexity. Okay. Similar to Pisces energy, this actually reminds me of Mystic Rising, the Huntress, like what's worth fighting for. And there is something about the rushing of the Knight of Swords, the fearlessness, the fierceness of the Knight of Swords, and this idea of complexity. The Knight of Swords you don't think of as a complex creature. He's like, oh, you need saving? Oh, I'll be there. Like there's no question. Like it all just kind of happens very fast, very fluid, doesn't ask a lot of like questions, like just kind of very instinctual movement. And the octopus feels like the opposite of that. It feels very, wise, complex, fluid, shape-shifting. And so there's this interesting, again, tension between the directness, the like clarity, and the complexity. And what it feels like is, it's landing like, it's kind of landing like, what? Like a little confrontational, a little like, what's your problem? Like, this is me, what's your problem? So there's a little bit of like a bravado, but also I don't know, a little bit of like a gangster quality of like, you got a problem with me? So I don't know, like that doesn't feel necessarily like positive, but it doesn't feel negative either. It feels like just what's going to happen this month. You are going to want to stand up for yourself, and maybe that's a new feeling, and maybe that's going to be a little clumsy, or you're going to overdo it or overact it a little bit. And I don't know, it feels okay to me. Like, go on with your bad self, Taurus. Like, see what happens, and know that the right people are going to forgive, like, you holding this fierceness or this self-protective quality in a new way. And there is a humor here. There's kind of like this humor here of like, don't take it too seriously, don't take yourself too seriously. People around you giving you a lot of grace in terms of, yeah, this kind of like, how do I protect myself and also like stand up for myself and also be in connection, and also, so that's the complexity part. Like, you want a lot of different things and you're trying to get them in a new way. And so, yeah, be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and have a sense of humor about it for sure. Taurus, Gemini. Master Manifester and the King of Wands. Okay, Gemini. That's pretty, what else do you need to know? King of Wands, Master Manifester is like anything you want. Like anything you want, baby. Anything you want, it's yours. This is amazing. I would please, Geminis, get back to me on what this looks like in your life. But this is like, I want this, and the world being like, here it is. And maybe you even surprise yourself with what you're able to create, what you're able to call in. But yeah, there's not much to say about it other than like, congratulations. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you kind of feel how good it feels to be such a magical like manifester in the world. And then Gemini, Cancer, tame and attain, 10 of Pentacles. So patience. And this is the movement from the 9 to the 10. We were just talking about the legacy. This is asking you to really focus on the long term. So you might have an idea of what you want right now, and there's a question of like, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper, keep drilling down and really get connected to long term what you're trying to create. And then, yeah, tame the distraction and head there with clarity. This is energy of like planting seeds. It is the energy of fruits of your labor, but it's also a higher calling, like asking you to elevate what you're asking for. And again, having a bigger, broader vision of what you are trying to attain. So this is a lot of discipline here, but discipline in the service of something pretty big, pretty foundation creating. And so yeah, like eye on the prize. And again, remind yourself when you're so locked in, why you're locked in, like what you're trying to achieve. There's going to be a great amount of satisfaction that comes from taking the time to build something bigger this month. Cool. All right, my friends, that was a very long podcast. I hope you're good and I hope that was helpful. Yeah, let your heart crack open this month. Let yourself become more supple in what you are in devotion to and what you're willing to kneel in front of. A really interesting experience of devotion, really interesting experience of being in the world and the complexity and duality of that, and something very beautiful wanting to wash through you, over you, into your life, and testing your ability to receive that. If last month tested the mechanisms of control, this month is really going to test your ability to receive something bigger and better than maybe you dreamed of or hoped for or expected in your life. And may you be willing to receive more widely, more freely, and with more joy and, yeah, goodness. Okay. Happy August. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.